seconds, he still has no sense of, oh, crap, duck, because he got debacled. And then there's the screen grab of Van Ness sliding over his prone body, nuts scraping all the way up his back and helmet to grab the ball, and people screenshotted that and put it with the two previous screw-ups by him. Of course, I think the worst screw-up was the staring down of DeAndre Hopkins that led to the Jair pick. And that's a great pick by 23. That's what he does. That's why he's one of the highest paid corners in the league. But, bruh, it's the NFL. You don't get to take a three-step hitch and just go stare, 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 throw. Oh, crap.
Yeah, that works in high school sometimes.
Sometimes, right. Not even high school, though, sometimes.
But,
so,
yeah, that was
all right, for more on the game and Wisconsin at Southern Cal. It's a league game, as they said in the Big Lebowski now. Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. We are, of course, your home of the Badgers after their bye week. Pregame starts at 10:30. The line has got to be substantial. Did you see what the number was?
14.5, sorry.
14.5.
14.5. Catching him at just the wrong time following a stinging loss to Michigan at the Big House. Jim Polzin, who covers both teams capably well for both teams for the Wisconsin State Journal, joins us right now. He is brought to you by Geis Garage Doors. For residential and commercial garage doors, don't think twice. Call Geis. Good morning, Mr. Polzin. How are you?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing good. I am defending your guild, the Beat Writers Guild, against the slanderous attacks of Brian Butch today.
Who
implied he was implying that those closest to the team, Jim, were fairly certain that Love would play. I said I heard appropriate uncertainty about his status. Where do you stand on whether the feeling was accurate leading up to the game or not?
I woke up yesterday unsure, so I can't say that I was swayed by anybody who thought he was going to play. I thought they would do what they did, give him a chance to warm up on the field, see how he looked, see how he felt. Again, this is an organization that's abundantly that just sides on the side of caution. Like they're not going to put him out there if he's not ready, and they're not going to do it against a team that just frankly they think they can beat with their backup quarterback. So I wasn't surprised to hear he was inactive, and again they found a way to win without him.
Yeah. So that springs us now into this week. And what is our way too early lean right now on Love being active and playing against the Vikings? This is a much tougher test. Brian Flores may not have worked out as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, he's like the damn bogeyman. He gets them going.
I think he'll play. I mean, that was my gut feeling yesterday that was maybe part of it. Like, hey, give him another week. This is a big game coming up. Again, that's not no insider knowledge whatsoever. Let me just say that. But I think he's getting close at the end of last week. They were cautious. I think he'll, unless he has a setback this week, which is always possible with his injury, I think he'll play.
Jim, when you look at how this defense has changed for the Packers so much with the turnovers, what's been the biggest adjustment through your eyes?
I think some of the turnover thing is just, it happens all the time. It's contagious. You know, it just, one guy gets a pick and it just trickles down to the next guy on the roster. I think that's part of it. I think yesterday the benefit was you're going against a team with a young quarterback and one without a running game and one that fell behind. So those are really three great things for a defensive coordinator because you can be super aggressive. You can pin your ears back and rush the quarterback and you know, make him uncomfortable. And that's exactly what happened. So I think what we're seeing is a little bit more aggression from Jeff Hafley than we certainly did with Joe Barry. Xavier McKinney in the back end, I think, is a difference maker that just changes what you can do defensively. And, you know, you're starting to see some of the young guys mature. Lucas Van Ness is becoming a better player. Kingsley Enagbare is in his third year. He's starting to become a better player. Devontae Wyatt has made plays, I think, in all 3 weeks. So some of these young guys are starting to mature and get better. And you suddenly look at this defense and I don't see many weaknesses on it. So it's got potential. I'm a little reluctant to call this a great defense yet because of who they've gone against. But I think there's the potential there for this to become a pretty good defense.
When you look at Malik Willis and the move by Brian Gutekunst, he's gone out. He made 2 adjustments. He saw weaknesses as far as the kicker and the backup quarterback. When you're in a position like Brian Gutekunst, and from what you've seen, has he pushed all the right buttons so far this year?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sold on the kicking situation yet, and the backup quarterback situation I think has worked out in part because of who they played. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Malik Willis.
No, I think there's some truth to that, though, Jim. You're right.
Yeah, I think the schedule. I mean, the Jordan Love getting injured when he did, I think was probably a best case scenario because of the schedule. The Colts are rebuilding. The Titans are certainly rebuilding. Again, you're going against offenses that you can attack, and if ones that if you get ahead of them, you can just play a completely different game in terms of what you ask your quarterback to do. So I've been impressed by him. I think, again, like I didn't know a ton about Malik Willis other than he was struggling in Tennessee. So good on Goody and his staff for recognizing that, hey, there's still a quarterback in there that can help us. And if we bring him here, there's things we can do with him and help him grow. They didn't expect to be starting him in week 2, certainly. But they have, and I've been impressed by his poise. Like the one play that stood up to me yesterday was he threw a ball in the flat to Tucker Kraft that got dropped, and the camera was pointed right at Willis. You couldn't see what Kraft was doing, but I'm guessing he was coming back to huddle apologizing for dropping the ball, and all it showed was Willis looking at him and saying, "It's okay, it's okay." He's like, he was calm, and some quarterbacks might have been flipping out there, and he's been really poised. I've been impressed by that.
Yeah, been a fun story. Emmanuel Wilson from Fort Valley State, one of the great stories of not this August, but last August when he burst onto the scene against Cincinnati in that preseason game, gets into the end zone. Apparently he ran, Jim, like a 4.58 at the combine, which is so slow for a running back. Yeah. And yet whenever he touches the ball, he looks, to my eyes, like he's been shot out of a cannon.
It's called football speed, right?
I guess. Yeah. This is,
I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. I was going to say that, any thoughts of what are we doing at RB2, especially now that Marshawn Lloyd is on the IR, I think was answered yesterday.
Yeah, he was solid and has been solid. I think that goes back to Goody and his staff too. Like if you make decisions based on one day at a combine or an individual workout and don't take the full picture into account, I think that's always dangerous. And I the one thing I'll say about Goody and those guys is they are prepared. They put in the work, and they don't let one bad game, one bad workout affect their decision. They look at an entire picture instead of one piece of it. So that's how you can kind of not get swayed by anything you see in a guy like Wilson who has a bad workout day. He's been good. He plays hard. He runs north and south pretty well. And I think he's solid. I think he was a better runner in week 1 for a little bit of that game against the Eagles.
Sure.
I thought yesterday he looked like the more decisive runner too.
Yeah. I like to call that extracted talent. You're extracting it from the nooks and the crannies, like oil in the nooks and the crannies of the shale. You're just like sucking it out of there. The purchased talent, like Xavier McKinney, is a different story. You don't mind spending retail for a guy, which they did for McKinney. Some criticized it, Jim, as too much for him, but he's looking like the best center fielder at safety since Nick Collins. Agree?
Yeah, and that is such an important position. If you can have a guy back there that's a difference maker, I just think I think it completely changes what you can do defensively. I liked his sign. It's easy to say now, but I liked signing him and giving him that money because he was a guy that was still relatively young and you were getting him at his prime. The contracts that scare me a little bit is when you've got guys, who are 6 or 7 years in the league and you don't know from a health standpoint or an age standpoint if they can, if they're going to start trending the other way. But I thought McKinney was an ascending player and a position of need that, you had to revamp that safety position, and getting him to kind of lead that revamp, I thought was huge.
Jim, when you look overall at this Packers team, Everyone's riding high with them. But what is in one area that does concern you moving forward?
I mean, definitely kicking. Narvis missed another one yesterday. Obviously, they caught a break and got the penalty, but they're on a pretty long stretch here of missing at least one kick, and that's the one thing that worries me. I look at this roster and it's, I don't see a ton of weaknesses on either side of the ball. I think they're good, but when the playoffs start and the games are close and it comes down to a field goal, I think Packers fans, if it's Narvis and if it's someone else, are going to be nervous that that's going to be the thing that keeps them out of a Super Bowl or keeps them out of a NFC title game. That's the one thing that stands out to me so far. Otherwise, I like, across the board, I like some of the depth they've got, and that'll be the key test of injuries, right? It's already tested them with the Love injury, but if they have any injuries to key guys, then you kind of start to realize how good your depth is. But so far, so good. I think this is definitely. I look around the NFC, and I think again, we thought the Packers were one of those teams, one of those top five teams. I have no reason to doubt that after the first 3 weeks of the season.
All right, let's change over to college for a quick second. Badgers back in action at USC. USC came off what was almost an incredible win at Michigan. They were down early. Michigan was leaning on them. They fight their way back, but then Michigan on a 4th and goal runs inside the tackles, which is their DNA, to punch in the go-ahead and winning touchdown. How big of a test is this for a Badger team that's a double touchdown underdog?
Yeah, it's a big test. I mean, just in terms of pure athleticism, USC's got guys on both sides of the ball that are just very athletic, very talented. They just look the part. I think, if I can put my positive hat on for a second here, the one good thing about getting USC this week is that they're pretty beat up. That was a physical game. They lost a tight end. A couple of receivers got banged up. Flying across the country, I think you could make a case that Wisconsin goes in there in the first quarter and sets the tone and is physical. They can make this a 4-quarter game. So that's the one, I think, silver lining to come out of that USC Michigan game is that USC got beat up. I mean, that was a physical. That was the Michigan team from last year playing, where they're just going to go right at you and pound it. And we'll see how USC's bodies respond to it.
All right. Very good. As always, a pleasure, Jim. Thank you for your time today, and we'll chat next Monday.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Jim Polzin has been brought to you by Geis Garage Doors. Good news is the Narv dog is second in the league in scoring because of the Packers' offense and extra points. Bad news is he's missed 2 kicks and had a third one called back by penalty. That is also amongst the league high. Guess who also has been missing kicks this year? The great Justin Tucker. Oh, by the way, did you see Brandon Aubrey with his 65-yarder? Like, what? Was that special? Like,
such a weapon, right? Like, such a weapon. Stupid.
Bonkers.
Like, stupid.
Yeah. So, all right. Coming up, do you think this is going to happen? Poor Luddy's been after our gal for a while now.
Man, I've been
Ms. Walking Bets herself.
I don't know. We'll see.
50-50. She picks up the phone this morning. Taylor Matthis of Walking Bets fame will join us next. And we got Wayne Larvey top of next hour.
I'm tired and I'm dragging on this Tuesday. I don't know what's with me today, but we are still going to get to the walking bets. So let's get started with a dog play. We're going to go with the Brewers on the money line against the Cardinals in the NL Central. Betty hasn't been great since coming to the Cardinals. 5.63 ERA, only striking out 17% of batters in the month of August, compared to Montez pitching for Milwaukee. He's been striking out nearly 20.
Speaking of Montez or Montas, do you know that he was tipping his pitches, Butch?
He was.
And they
Yes,
figured
he
it out.
was.
They figured out the rat. So they hopefully get that tightened up before the playoffs. It is our pleasure to welcome on Taylor Matthis of Walking Bets, who loves three things, Taylor, from what I can tell: baseball, walking, and gambling. Good morning, Taylor. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing good. I saw on one of your previous videos, or at least a post by you, you said, sorry, guys, I don't do football. Now I see, because you're with DraftKings, you're doing football.
No, I don't do college football. I do.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've always done NFL. MLB, NFL, and NBA are my three sports that I cover.
Okay. Can I ask, why not college football? You know us guys, we'll bet on anything.
Selfish answer that I have here, but I went to the University of Iowa growing up, Big Ten school. Saturdays were my days to hang out with my friends, watch football, pay attention, and have fun. And I've kind of carried that over into my adult years. I live out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm part of an Iowa Hawkeye alumni group out there. So Saturdays are my day to watch my Hawkeyes, watch Big Ten football. I don't cap it. I love college football. I just don't bet on college football like I do the NFL.
Well,
Wow.
you could always take the under for Iowa. I mean, they can't score at all.
No,
I mean, it would be a lock and load that one under Iowa. You're good.
Hey, I took the under, though, on Iowa, Minnesota this week, 35.5, and Iowa had 31 points on their own. So that under, I don't know if that's the play this season. We're able to score some touchdowns here and there.
Once they play a real team, it'll be the play. Trust me, they'll get back to real. You're talking to a Badger here, so that's the only downfall is you've got this Iowa. I know, but it's not good. The whole Hawkeyes, it's not good.
I feel you. I'm like, we haven't been good, really, truly good since I was in college there. So it's been rough as a Hawkeye fan. It's been even rougher. I wore my Packer sweatshirt just for you guys, but it's been even rougher as a Cowboys fan for me lately.
Okay. Well, we'll get into the Cowboys in a second. First of all, Butchie, you do know that the odds makers also see Iowa's ineptness, and they adjust that over-under accordingly. You're aware of that, right?
I am aware of that, and that's why I'm also aware that last year it hit 8 straight times, Abe. It was the play no matter what Vegas did.
It was
so
like a broken...
I'm a smart man, too.
And remember when it dipped below 30?
Yeah, and we're like, you still can't take it. Sure enough, it still stayed under.
Exactly. So, Taylor, where in Iowa are you from? Because we have a guy on our show who is Iowa born and bred. We love him to death.
Nice.
Iowa nice is the nicest of the nice. Better than Minnesota nice. Better than Wisconsin nice. Even better than Canadian nice. Where in Iowa are you from?
I'm actually from Illinois originally, but I went to the University of Iowa.
Okay.
Iowa. I went to Iowa, but originally I'm from a really small town in Illinois called Sandwich, like a sandwich that you eat. I will say that it was a good time to grow up in a very small town. I grew up in kind of the farmland of Illinois, so I wasn't really close to the city or anything like that growing up, but it was a great place to grow up as a child for sure.
All right. So many questions. Let me just start firing them at you. First of all, what kind of camera are you using on those walking bets? And have you thought about a gimbal, or do you like that shakiness to grab your attention?
I'm using my iPhone camera, but I'm a few generations behind. You know, they come out with a new iPhone every year. So when they come out with the 16, I told the people I will be getting a new iPhone because I think I need better video quality. The gimbal, there's hit or miss. Some people are like, get the gimbal. Other people are like, don't get the gimbal. Maybe I have to try one with the gimbal and we compare and see how it goes. I'm open to suggestions always when it comes to the walking bets.
I kind of like the fact that there's this manic urgency to, okay, Taylor's got her picks today and here they are walking bets. And it's, you're right there. It's like, listen, I like so-and-so over. Like this on this team, money line on that. First of all, your baseball fandom is undeniable. How did you become such a huge baseball fan?
Oh, I love this question. I grew up, like I said, outside of the Chicago area. My papa and my noni are gigantic Cubs fans. Growing up, they would take my mom and her sisters to St. Louis, Milwaukee, Chicago, and they would stay at the same hotels as the Cubs players. So my mom and her siblings grew up being in that Cubs fandom super deep when they were terrible too. And they would wait in the elevator to get Cubs players' signatures. And they grew up big Cubs fans. My grandparents took me, my sister, and my cousin to our first Cubs game when I was 5 years old. And I think that my papa thought that my boy cousin Austin was going to be the one that was very into the game. But he taught me how to do a scorecard. And I thought a scorecard was just the coolest thing. And I loved the intricacy of paying attention to the game and really keeping track of everything. Once he taught me how to do that, I became baseball obsessed, and I would watch every Cubs game at home on my couch, and I would do scorecards by myself. I just got so into the Cubs when I was younger. They were really what started my baseball fandom and really my love for sports as a whole. So I am a diehard Cubs fan. And from there, I grew up with football as well. My dad's the Cowboys fan, raised me the Cowboys fan. NBA, grew up a Bulls fan. I've kind of converted to the Suns now that I've lived in Arizona for so long. But I've always had sports in my family, but I really attribute most of it to my papa and my noni specifically back in the day, really getting me into baseball. And that's where my love for baseball and for the Cubs started.
Taylor, how's that Craig Counsell experiment working out?
Not great, but I wouldn't say that he's our only issue right now. I think the Cubs as a whole have a lot of different holes that they need to fill. And we see they're like right on the precipice. We're 7 games out of that wild card spot, which obviously is not happening at this point. But we come so close, and we looked like we were really good at certain points of the season. And then we hit major downfalls. We did have quite a bit of injuries to our starting rotation throughout the year, but I wouldn't blame it all on him. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a fail this year, but I don't know if Cubs fans would say it was a success either. I feel like it was pretty 50-50 right in the middle.
Yeah, us Brewers fans say it was a success. There's no question about it. It was great. Greg, you can leave. Come on, Marv, take care of us. Take us where we need to go.
First, hey, the Brewers look real. Though, I will say the Brewers look great. Obviously, they're the first team to clinch their division. But y'all just lost 3 of 4 to the Diamondbacks out there, my Valley boys. So I'm sure you guys are hurting a little bit from that series. It was almost a sweep. We were that close.
Not happy.
It was. You hit us with the y'all, though. Y'all are feeling bad. See, I don't like where you're going with that, Taylor. I don't like the y'all side of this.
You know what? I don't really even know why I say y'all so much. I'm not from the South, but I throw it in often, all the time.
It's good. It's a nice colloquial way of addressing a non-discriminate group of people, right? Y'all.
Absolutely.
How y'all doing?
Yeah,
Are you an athlete, ex-athlete? Did you play sports?
Well, okay, this could be controversial. I consider competitive cheerleading, what I did my entire life growing up, a major sport. I cheered competitively from the age of 5 until 18. And then when I was going to Iowa, I was trying to determine if I wanted to try out for cheer at Iowa, but I really knew it was going to take up my entire college career if I was going to do that. Decided against it. Went the route of getting involved in the student television program, which was the correct move for going into journalism. Did a sorority instead, but I competitively cheered my entire life growing up. So tumbled, I was a flyer, and there's obviously a lot of elements of dance, endurance, all kinds of things that are involved in competitive cheer. But I did not play any traditional sports like softball or basketball or anything growing up.
Well, look, competitive cheer, Butchie, is a scholarship sport at many schools.
It is. Yes.
Secondly, it has the highest injury rate. Did you know?
I did.
Of all the sports. And they're scaling back, as I'm sure you know, Taylor, some of the crazy throws and stunts in competitive cheer.
Basketball are now illegal to use in majority of competitions for cheer.
Really?
A couple years ago. I actually am a competitive cheer coach too, out in Arizona.
Okay.
So I have 3 squads right now that I coach. It's been really fun. I've been doing it for a little over a year and a half now. A lot of work, but I wanted to get back involved with competitive cheer in some way. So I thought coaching would be a good way to do it.
What's the launch with the hands? Is that a basket launch or the basket throw is where they catch you?
Like this is a base. So they lift like this. Yes.
Got it.
Exactly.
All right.
Fader extension when you go above the head.
Yeah, crazy. These young girls just wham, and then one slippery set of hands. Next thing you know, here comes the ambulance. Nuts.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong
I
about
love it. All right, so you're a Cowboy fan. You are raised Cowboy, which living in Illinois, I guess Butchie is better than her being raised Bears.
I guess. I guess we're going to use that strongly. I guess.
But Taylor, you guys down there have a mess on your hands. This defense looks every bit as trash as it was last year.
We do have a mess on our hands. Yesterday was tragic. I mean, week 2 against the Saints, I feel like already at halftime, I felt like that game was out the window. I felt the same way yesterday. Even though the Cowboys came back 25-28, I feel like it was all garbage time. It was a complete waste. The defense is giving up way too many points right now. We're obviously seeing that happen. But on top of it, to pay a guy, and I don't want to put it all on Dak, but I just have a real problem with the fact that we are paying a guy $240 million to not even we have a losing record after 3 weeks right now. I can't say it's all his fault, but he's also not doing his job up to the caliber that it needs to be done. CD, you could tell, was very upset yesterday. I sat and watched that whole Cowboys game, and to see him on the sidelines, and he actually had a couple of mistakes himself, so he shouldn't be mad at everybody else. But to be paying these players the way that we are and not having them show up the way they should be is a little detrimental, I think, right now to the Cowboys organization and the Cowboys fans. I tweeted yesterday, I hate being a Cowboys fan, and it went viral. So I'm clearly not the only Cowboys fan right now.
Yeah, not the only one. It's like having a sports car, really nice sports car in Dak, and no garage. So it's sitting outside in the rain, in the sun, getting pelted with hail. It's a disaster. Taylor, thank you for taking time this morning. Thank you for kowtowing to us with the Packer sweatshirt. I know that must singe being a Cowboy fan to actually wear that thing, but looks good on you. It's Walking Bets, T-Math Sports at T-Math Sports on Twitter. And also you have a podcast called The First Base Pod, and you do content and betting analyst analysis work for DraftKings. And we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, very good. Coming up, Wayne Larrabee, Wayne's World. We'll talk Packers win over the Titans next. You're listening to The Game. Another great call from our friend Wayne Larvey and Larry McCarron in the background, just loving this team and loving what Christian Watson is doing out there. Our convo with Wayne brought to you by Steam Fitters Local 601. Learn more by visiting steamfitters601.org. And National Fire Sprinklers Association. Visit them at nfsa.org. Wayne, good morning. The highlight package sounded sizzling from the game. I assume you were happy with the broadcast.
It was a sizzling day down there, more ways than one in Nashville.
Yeah, it was good. What a fun game to call. What a fun team. I said earlier in the show, I am absolutely giddy with how this team has come together in the wake of Jordan Love's injury. And I don't know about you, but when they got up 17-7, in my mind, I'm like, it's over. They're not losing this game. Not the way they started, not the way they're running around, and certainly not with their quarterback, Will Levis, running around back there. At what point did you think this game was in the bag for the Pack?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Czabe. I that was a little early. You couldn't throw it.
I know.
That, but
no, not a patented dagger. It was I'm not concerned on the couch thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. Felt the same way. I thought the Packers had control of that game throughout. I know that in the second half they didn't flow as well as they did in the first half, and but that's Tennessee, and they're a good football team. A lot of known commodities on that football team. A lot of them are there for the first time, and I think it's good to get a team like that early in the season because they haven't put it all together. And they're probably going to be a better team in November than they are now. But the fact is the Packers went in there, took care of business. I thought Malik Willis was outstanding. They opened up the playbook a little bit more for him, although they only threw 5 more passes than they did the week before. But nonetheless, It's when they threw those passes, I think, that set the table.
Wayne, you talked a lot about the team's getting better. This team is really good right now. How do the Packers keep getting better as they move on throughout the season? Because it's only 3 games into it, and everyone's impressed. I mean, everyone is sitting here saying how good this Packers team is. This defense is playing great. But how do they keep getting better, and in what areas do they need to keep getting better to keep pushing for a Super Bowl?
You've got to clean up the penalty situation. They've got 26 penalties in the first 3 games of the season, had 10 yesterday, and also the red zone. They have 3 touchdowns and 10 trips into the red zone this season. They were 1 of 3 yesterday, so they need to be a little more efficient in those 2 areas, and I think that'll certainly that'll spike up the scoring. There's no doubt about that, and that'll put them in a better position, I think, against some of these good teams like we're going to see from Minnesota coming in.
Is there a Rasheed Walker concern when it comes to the offensive line? And overall, how would you rate the O-line, given that it seems like league-wide, both injuries and guys that just can't block these monster defensive ends are struggling league-wide? I feel okay about our O-line with a few caveats in there.
I agree with you, Czabe. And that was a good defensive front they went up against yesterday. That was a team giving up 92 yards rushing a game. The Packers got 188. And if you take out Malik Willis and say, okay, well, the quarterback scrambled around, had 2 big runs on quarterback scrambles, well, that's fine. Then the rest of the team had 130 some yards rushing against a very good run defense. So, that's I think that's the area that you take heart in and you understand the offense. This is a good offensive line. Now, I think what they're going to adjust to, and all teams around the league, I'm seeing this in games being played all over the league, is that I think there's a scrutiny here in the early season by the officiating to look at interior line play closer. So you're getting more hands to the face calls, you're getting more holding calls, that kind of thing. I think the players will adjust, but I think also the officials will adjust as well because it's really slowing down the game.
It boggles my mind that in a league that can't keep their quarterbacks upright, that they would do anything to tip the balance even more in the favor of the defense. And yet that's exactly what the league did to start the year with these ticky-tack alignment penalties. So I don't understand what the NFL is thinking on this. They need to keep these guys upright, and they can't.
Yeah, exactly. But and the other thing that they're going to run into, we're going to have to get an adjustment on the dynamic kickoff because everyone's kicking it into the end zone now. Okay, they're very
almost everyone. Yeah.
Almost everyone.
Very
few.
And I believe the Saints are the one team that's been covering that kick all year, according to what I saw. But yeah, most people are just kicking it away.
Yeah, and so they've got to solve that if they're going to do this dynamic kickoff thing. So, but aside from that, those are the little things the Packers kind of want to take care of. We saw it yesterday, guys, for the first time. Remember how last week we were saying, well, where's this pass rush? Where's this Halfley defensive pass rush? We saw it yesterday. Obviously, what they said was true. They were rushing in contained fashion those first 2 weeks against those very athletic quarterbacks. Will Levis is an athletic quarterback as well, but he's more of a pocket passer than the other quarterbacks are, and they were able to really get upfield against him. And they just wore out Tennessee in that heat. They just wore them down in the second half, and that defensive line took over.
Yeah, I believe we got Jeffrey Simmons, Luddy, with his statement during the week about nobody runs on the Titans. Let's go ahead and hear that one. Oh, but yet they did. So maybe adjust that statement.
They did. But there was an effort by the Packers to run the ball. It wasn't like they were just gouging them all the time.
Right.
There was an effort by Matt LaFleur, and I loved it. I questioned it. I said, was he going to be able to do it 2 weeks in a row, knowing he wants to throw the ball? And he stayed true to it again. Now they got out to another lead, but Matt stayed true to it.
What do you think? We're the Bears? Just going to throw it 53 times because we're bored and we
Fair.
got a fancy quarterback from college? Come on, man. Commitment to the run. Now, look, there was a lot of plays, Wayne, in which Jacobs went for nothing -1 right up the middle, and the announcers on TV were like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you're going to run between the tackles on this team, but they kept at it.
Well, that's a big front line. Now, it's a 3-4 defense, but their linebackers live in the box. And those guys up front, Jeffrey Simmons is like 310. Tavondre Sweat, the nose tackle's like he's a biscuit shy of 360.
He's insane.
And the other guy, Sebastian Joseph Day, is a 300-pounder. So there's a lot of beef up there they had to move. But it's funny. I went to the locker room after the game, and I saw 3 offensive linemen, Sean Ryan, Josh Myers, and one of the others, I believe it was anyway, I saw them, and I said, boy, nobody runs on the Tennessee Titans except the Green Bay Packers, and they had a big laugh on that.
Oh, my God, that's funny. So you hit them with that because that probably went on the bulletin board, either the virtual bulletin board of or the literal bulletin board.
Well,
do teams still keep bulletin boards, real bulletin boards of comments?
I don't see them in the locker room per se, but I'm sure that there's notes. They make mental notes of that. But now we've got Vikings week, and this is a good old-fashioned Vikings week. This will be a battle for first place in the division, and there'll be a lot of venom spewed from both sides of the state line.
When we were talking about this. If you had to label the coaches as far as orders they go for the NFC North, how would you do that? Top to bottom, the 4 coaches that they have in the NFC North.
Well, I think the best staffs are, Green Bay and Minnesota, without a doubt. Boy, what they do in Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell with that offense, and Brian Flores, he did wonders with that defense a year ago. They were undermanned. He had them playing top-flight defense till late in the season when the offense of the Vikings just broke down. They didn't have Kirk Cousins, and that defense kind of broke down. But, boy, how can you quibble with what Matt LaFleur and Halfley have done with that defense and offense? It's just amazing to me. These are the 2 top coaching staffs, in my opinion. I understand Detroit does a tremendous job with the culture and all that other stuff. But if you want to talk about strategists and week-to-week game plans and how you're going to win this football game with what you've got, these 2 coaching staffs, Minnesota and Green Bay, are it. They are the cream of the crop in this division, and I dare say maybe in the NFC.
Yeah. So Aaron Jones comes home this week, and I watched a good chunk of that game on screen right while watching the Packers, but also saw the highlights, saw Aaron after the game in purple talking about how happy he is in his new home. And boy, did I have a big swirling pot of emotions, Wayne. Yeah. On the one hand, I'm always happy for him because he is such a grade A human being and a beautiful football player. On the other hand, man, it burned. It burned seeing it all in purple.
I know.
How do you feel about the Aaron Jones comeback tour on Sunday?
exactly the way you do. I love Aaron Jones as a player, as a person. And believe me, that whole locker room in Green Bay loves him. But, things just went a different way, unfortunately. And now, here he comes in with the Minnesota Vikings. Had a nice game yesterday, rushed for over 100 yards. He's going to be primed for this one. It's just going to be an amazing matchup at high noon in Lambeau Field on Sunday afternoon, Vikings and Packers. You couldn't ask for any more.
No, it's going to be great. And Butchie and I are going to be roaming the tailgate.
We are
coming to
really?
your tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
Giving away swag. It's going to be a big game.
You
Forecast is pretty good as well.
Can I roam after we get off the air? That little spurt we do and to start
Yeah.
show, and then I can.
I mean,
you an hour and a half. I'd like to roam with you guys.
Okay,
We'll
let's
roll.
make it happen. All right, we'll check your availability. I do not want to interfere with your elaborate and detailed pregame prep. Okay?
That's his way of saying he's still going to ail. He's still going to leave early.
I don't care. He can leave as early as he wants. He should be leaving early. He's got a game to call.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
I'll have to track you down. Yeah, I know.
No.
Hey, you know what burned me the worst about Aaron Jones was that darn sombrero, all in purple, as he walked into the stadium.
Yeah.
I go, stop. That's a Green Bay thing. Don't bring that to Minnesota.
The skull chant. Proudly did the skull chant as well. It's the craziest thing ever.
A good look.
No. Keep it green and yellow.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna see Jordan Love Sunday. Yeah.
Based on what we saw yesterday, well, all of us kind of witnessed it, the pregame workout. He looked terrific to me. He looked fine. I mean, I sat there. I said, "Why can't he play today?" They decided to deactivate him and got him ready for this week. He looks fine. I think he's going to be fine. He was working out there. I didn't see a brace on his knee at all. So, we'll see. In the game, I'm sure they'll have something on him to protect it a little bit. But he looked great. And Dr. McKenzie was sitting comfortably on the bench across the way as this workout was going on. Not concerned. So I think they're ready for him to come back next week. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
Butchie, what are they testing exactly with an MCL?
I would say more pain management and mobility more than anything.
Yeah.
So they tell him, all right.
The lateral.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the trainers say, okay, Jordan, I want you to do a 7-step drop, sprint to your right. Okay. Yep. Did you feel anything? Pain. Was it scale of 1 to 10 pain? If it was a 5, then we're going to shade against, bringing you back. Is that how it works?
Pretty much, Wayne. For my comeback from MCLs and stuff like that, it's always been like, okay, how much pain can you manage? Where are you at? Can you move? Can you protect yourself? Those were all the things. And I think with Jordan, if there was any pain, there was really no reason to put him out there. You kind of bought that extra game with the win against the Colts. Yeah. You had some leeway there to make sure that this isn't something that's going to carry on throughout the season. You're always going to have bumps and bruises, but you can this is one where you can buy a week, and a week's a big deal when it comes to an MCL sprain.
Yeah, it really is. And, Nate Weir, the trainer, was out there with Jordan during this workout, Czabe, and I think he was saying the same things. I could tell. I mean, I wasn't standing on the field with him, but I was watching from a close vantage point. And, you could tell they would do a rollout and a throw on the run, and Nate would check with him. And I think he was doing exactly what you said, saying, okay, how does it feel? How do you feel this way? And so they rolled out the other way and that kind of thing. But I think he's going to be ready to come back. I'd be surprised if he doesn't, unless he has a setback or who knows. But I don't think he did, and I think he's ready to go for next week.
Yeah.
Do you have binocs in the booth there, either yourself or your spotter?
Did I have binocs? Yeah, I did.
You do.
We were pretty low.
I know,
but fairly close.
But you always have binoculars with you, right? Calling the game?
Yeah.
Right.
Just in case I have to see something that happens far away from us.
It's a smart man, Butchie. Wayne has big binoc energy, as I like to call it.
If you bring binocs to the game on Sunday, I'm not sitting next to you. I'm just telling you. You're going to be a nerd.
What do you mean if?
What do you mean?
Always bring the
Josh
big
might have allowed
energy.
that. I'm not sitting next to you.
What are you talking about?
No. There's no reason for you to have binocs. Wayne, yes. There's no reason for you to.
I want to see what's happening.
Then use your eyes.
Big binocs on the game.
Yeah, you don't need big binocs.
We have to sit, Butchie.
Yeah, Wayne, you're good. You got a job to do. Wayne, Zabe's just going to be there cheering, and then he's going to be taking the binocs and looking at things he shouldn't be looking at. And I'm going to be sitting next to him. He's going to be a creeper with binocs. You don't need that.
Creeper with binocs, please.
Oh,
That's what I do on the
don't
weekend.
drag me into
All right,
this.
Wayne, good to talk to you as
I know.
always, my friend.
I could
We'll
only
chat
hurt
next week.
myself.
Me too. That's why I'm scared for Sunday.
Have a good one,
All right,
guys.
thank you, Wayne.
Friday.
Our conversation with Wayne Larvey has been brought to you by Steam Fitters Local 601 and the National Fire Sprinklers Association. Oh, we coming, aren't we, Dion?
Something about when is he coming back? You say, I don't know, but I know he coming.
I know he coming. We're coming to your tailgate. Czabe and Butch in the morning transform into tailgate crashers this Sunday as the Packers take on the Vikings. If you want us to turbocharge your tailgate with all kinds of great swag from our best sponsors, Iron Jock, Quick Trip, Central Standard, and Palermo's, drop us an email, zabe@yahoo.com or brianbutch@iheartmedia.com, and tell us why in 200 words or less what's great, unique, or worthy about your pregame gathering in and around Lambeau Field, and we will come rolling in heavy with all the goodies Sunday morning. Czabe and Butch in the morning.
The rush that I got right now that I can't wait till this thing kicks off because we are coming.
We are coming. Oh, we talking now. Mike Keller joins us as he does every Monday to get in a little scrap, some good non-contact judo before he sets out to sail at noon today for the Mike Heller Show, noon to 3. Good morning, Mr. Heller. How are you?
Good morning. We'll just get along today. Everything's good. It's a happy Monday.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see where the disagreements arise along the way. Sports is good for provoking passion and disagreement among sports fans. That's why we love it. I mean, we watch sports because of the sheer, utter unpredictability. And once again, the NFL yesterday, elsewhere, provided that. What am I watching? What? Why?
Yeah.
How does this even work exactly? Nobody knows anything, and that's the beauty of it. But I know this Packer team has got me giddy because they are a so well-coached and fundamentally sound team. Knock on wood. I'm blown away at these 2 wins. These were masterpieces.
Yeah, they do. They're doing a lot of things really well right now. Not penalties, but otherwise they're doing a lot of things really well.
Yeah.
They're getting the turnovers. They're not turning it over. Malik Willis started. Let's say that's the end of his run of starts here, and the Jordan Love goes against Minnesota. Malik Willis will have gone 2 games. I think what did he have? A total of 8 incompletions, no interceptions, and he didn't put the ball on the ground and turn it over. That is, you want to talk about a perfect scenario with which just played out with a backup quarterback. And I was willing and I was ready to, Czabe, say that they had mismanaged the backup quarterback position. I was poised.
You were ready
to be.
You
there.
had that take all prepped.
You didn't say that at all during the process.
Well, I thought that when it initially happened, I didn't love the idea they were going to go play a game with a guy that hadn't taken a snap during training camp. I didn't like that. That happened to them back in 2013 when that was the Matt Flynn had to come in and bail them out after Seneca Wallace and Scott Tolzien didn't get it done. That was a camp that you got rid of your quarterbacks at the end of camp and brought in guys who had never been in your training camp. So I didn't love the repeat of that, but Malik Willis and I will say Adam Stenavich and what Matt LaFleur did, and then obviously what the Packers did from a coaching to quarterback position. Malik Willis took it all, and it was beautiful. I mean, for 2 weeks, he was just fantastic.
Was that you kind of saying you were wrong? Because I mean, it sounded kind of like that without a full I was wrong about this.
But I was prepared for them to be wrong, and instead, what I was prepared for. But what I like to let happen, Brian Butch, is I like for things to play out before I get on the right or wrong side of an argument.
Were you wrong?
Yeah, well, I could have been wrong. I wasn't wrong.
Oh my God!
We are not.
It's okay. You're wrong.
Okay, we are not in the business of
Turn Butch's microphone off.
It's okay. You could be wrong. We're wrong a lot. That's our job. Sometimes we're right, and we'll let you know about it. But you gotta let people know when you're wrong too. I was wrong about it. You were wrong about it. Czabe was wrong about it. Everybody was wrong.
No, I said my heart says I want him to do well. My head says he probably won't.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Fence straddle.
No, you're fine. So was I. Butchie's the one that's overreacting now.
Nicolay Law talked into
I think I said,
lay on Heller and lay on Czabe for not owning this. They were wrong. They've only said, but that's fine.
For what, Butch? For what did I do that was wrong?
Because you guys were all about how can you go get a backup quarterback. You guys, aborted this. You should have stuck with Clifford. You should have stuck with guys that are around. Goody was – I'll be the first. I was wrong. I didn't think Goody handled it right. I was wrong.
Okay. Were you wrong, or is it just worked out? What if LaFleur and the coaching staff? What if LaFleur and the coaching staff spackled over Goody's mistake by coaching up Willis so exquisitely that the bad quarterback that existed before did not show up for 2 games solely because of LaFleur and the coaches and the players? It doesn't make Goody right. It makes Goody lucky that he's got such a great coach.
Here's the back end brilliance of this that I didn't see on the front end. The back end brilliance of this is they brought in a quarterback who on short prep was able to get the basic reads. And then if he didn't have the reads, he was going to run. So he ran 12 times for 114 yards in the 2 games. Now, Sean Clifford not going to be that runner. So they weren't going to do it there, and even out of camp, they weren't going to do this with Pratt. But as it worked out, he was incredibly well coached up, and he was ready for this opportunity. So credit Malik Willis, credit the Packers coaching staff, because I didn't think this was going to be the end result. And color me surprised. And if Butchie wants to say I was wrong, I'm fine. I could be wrong on that. I think that what you saw was a great performance and great coaching for 2 weeks, and a defense that stepped up and said, listen, if all else fails, we're going to have your back. We got you. We're all good. And that's what they were for 2 weeks. Fantastic.
I believe I called the move impulsive and indefensible by Goody.
So then you were wrong.
Guys.
Thank you.
Then you were wrong. I was just, in the middle, but Dave was wrong.
Just because something works out doesn't make you right.
And indefensible.
But he wasn't
if
wrong.
If that's the word you used, indefensible.
I did.
Well, then
it's
he
indefensible. They spent a draft pick on Pratt. They had Clifford spent a draft pick on him, and they had him for 2 years. And then because he had a fit at the end of August, he's like, both of you get out. You can't defend that as a GM move. Yeah. Just because it worked out does not make it defensible. It's worked out. And I'm convinced 90% of it is because LaFleur and the staff did such a good job of coaching up the team and Willis, so it didn't backfire on Goody.
Well, it ends up being a zero. It ends
wrong?
up being a zero-sum league. You're graded on whether you win or you lose and how you perform in the process. And
I know.
They're really
I think
good.
maybe Goody also came to the realization, and I've said this for a while now, is that every team should have a dual threat backup. And he should be active almost every week. I mean, because in a pinch, thank you, Luddy, you're giving me the amen hands back there.
Yeah.
In a pinch, you can always run
go.
these read options, which they did with Willis for a big game yesterday.
And it, not to mix our conversations, but I think it's the biggest miss with Wisconsin football. Even if I don't know if Tyler Van Dyke was going to run it. They kept talking about he can run the football. I watched him. I didn't think he could run the football. I think it's the biggest miss in the college game or the biggest advantage is in the college game. If you have a quarterback that can threaten you with his legs, you have a tremendous advantage over the opposition. And Wisconsin hadn't had that in a while. Mordecai showed some of that when he was healthy late in the year last year, but that's a problem. But Malik Willis, his ability to do that, 114 yards rushing in the 2 games, his ability to threaten the defense with what he did with his legs was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a fun team to watch. They're well coached. They love to play hard for each other. As I said, Jordan Love is coming back to a very fast car this Sunday if he comes back. On record, is he playing Sunday, Mike Heller? Yes or no?
Yes, he is playing Sunday. But does that now? Let me ask you a question. Are you prepared to not ail on Sunday?
No, I can't make that promise. I never make that promise.
No, are you prepared, given the circumstances, that there is the opportunity that you wouldn't ail? Or, I mean, because ail is always leave early. Always. So if we go to the fourth quarter in a 23-23 game, are you
looking for my ale coin right now?
Are you gonna invoke the always
we're
leave
taking
early?
Heller, we're taking 2 cars. I'm just telling you, there's no question.
Good choice, Butchie.
I
just wondered if Steve, if you ever stay, because the coin says, and your motto is always leave early.
It does. I don't know. It's a great question because it's a noon game. There's a lot of slack on the back end.
Heck yeah.
In order to get home and still catch some of the afternoon games. Weather looks like it's going to be warm. And if there's no rain, it's going to be a cherry pie afternoon at Lambeau Field. We figure the game is going to come right down to the end. Now, if the Vikings are running the pack out of the house, are we staying to the end, Butchie?
Well, in one of the last times you stayed, wasn't it a loss? Didn't you and Josh stay for one?
We stayed for the Niner game, and I nearly got frostbite. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is a Milwaukee game, so good luck with that traffic on the ride home if you decide to stay the whole time.
Yeah,
I'm staying at Butchie's on Sunday night.
Does Brian know that?
Get a bed ready and some towels for your master bathroom, which should be done by Sunday.
That screened-in porch will be perfect for him.
I've offered it up once. You didn't take it. The offer's off the table.
Oh, come on, man. Well, it's going to be huge.
He's still hunting the ale coin. He's been hunting for the ale coin the entire
The
segment.
show's
Right
gone.
with
The next 40 minutes, he's going to be looking for. We've lost him.
We only got
Man
35.
down. Man
My fault for
overboard,
bringing it up.
Man overboard.
Do you know? Do
So,
you guys
how's it
collect?
going, guys?
Do you collect challenge coins at all, Mike Heller?
No.
Do you know what a challenge coin is? Butch,
No.
Then I guess
How about
not.
you?
I don't know.
No idea what a challenge
No,
coin
but
is.
I don't need more junk in a junk drawer because I end up looking like you right now.
These are
Yeah.
collectible trinkets, coins, stuff.
Yeah, they are. That's
Okay.
great.
I got a
gotta
lot of
have
these
over
souvenirs.
50 of those things.
Uh-huh.
Got a lot of these souvenirs from the Army Navy game. They gave them out to the media. This is a charge start sit fantasy football coin.
Uh-huh.
If you're ever confused about that.
Welcome to Coin
But-
Talk on 97.3 The Game.
Yeah.
So challenge coins, here's a fun fact for you, or it's a fact. It may not be fun. Challenge coins, military tradition where officers would carry them at all times. And if
Yeah.
you were at a bar and another military man would say, hey, you owe me a drink. If you had the challenge coin, you were safe. But if you didn't, you'd have to buy the round of drinks.
Okay.
That's the challenge coin
All right.
history. So
Yeah.
so
There you
anyway,
go.
the L coin, I don't know. Are we leaving early? I don't know.
The more
We're coming early.
The more you know.
Are we leaving early? I don't know. We are coming early. So if you want us to crash your tailgate, again, we're going to be bringing the best of the best that we have here at 97.3 The Game. We've got Iron Jock gear. We got some Central Standard. We got Quick
Yeah.
Trip gift cards. So let us know. Why should we come by your tailgate and take it to the next level? Just
Are
email
they
us.
are they
Yeah.
the Quick Trip gift cards that are the mystery gift cards, the ones that you don't
That's
know
right.
if there's any value left on them or
The
not?
ones that
I've gotten a couple of those.
the
Yeah.
ones that I had nipped certain portions of value off of and didn't keep track of which ones
Yeah,
were
That
which.
would really be.
Here,
That would
I got
be
these. I don't know if
spot
there's
on.
any value to any of these, but here.
17.34
Could be
you're starting
could be
with.
20, could be $1.16. You roll the dice. You don't know. All right.
That's
How
funny.
big was that Brewer win in your opinion?
Wow,
Mike,
it's one of the
yesterday? 'Cause
great
I'm-
games that people didn't see, huh?
I know. One of the great games nobody saw. I'm not so much of the mindset of we had to drop anchor. They had to say we're not going to just shut the engines off. It's just one more game in 162 in which they had already accomplished their primary objective. I'm a little
Yeah.
bit less wrapped up in
Well-
the hype about it, but you're the baseball man. You tell me.
Two things, Zabe. One, it was the 4-game losing streak game, which they avoided. So with 6 games left, there's a fair shot that this team will go through the entire season without a 4-gamer. And 2, I think there's a confidence in that clubhouse already that was buoyed again yesterday that they're never done. Like, this team is never done. Those 2-out, 2-strike RBIs in the 8th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, those are
Mhm.
just ridiculous. What Reese Hoskins did, he's the guy, by the way. For me, he's the guy. If he is producing starting next Tuesday, and I think we're pretty well locked into being Tuesday. If he's the guy and he starts producing when the playoffs begin, there is no limit to what this team might be able to do. And now we just measure, are you going to get the Mets or are you going to get the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Who do you want?
Well, here's the rub. You play the Mets Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Milwaukee. The result of that 3-game series likely determines who you play. The Mets are have been a really hot baseball team. But so have the Diamondbacks. I don't know, whoever you get.
All right. Well, you didn't answer the question about who you want. So I guess you're neutral.
Well, I haven't honestly paid enough attention to the Mets. The only time the Brewers saw them was the opening weekend of the series. They swept the Mets at Citi Field. They're not the same team. I guess I'd have to look at, Diaz last night closing that one out, a 2-inning save against the Phillies.
That was big.
Oof. Well, it's the
I'd
dueling
rather-
song, right? Because he and what happens when William Contreras comes to the plate? Do you play
Timmy
that?
Trumpets. Yes.
Yeah, do you play trumpets?
I don't know. See, I think that Diaz kind of owns that song and that Williams should probably get off of it, but I'm not going to get
no
too deep into
way.
that. What?
I mean, will you think when Contreras comes to the plate in the postseason next Tuesday, if it's against the Mets, that his walk-up song is different?
No. I don't think it is going to be different.
Okay.
I'm talking, generally speaking, sports fan-wise, once it's almost like jump around with
Sure.
the Badgers.
Yeah. I get it.
Nobody else should play that. And I don't think anyone really does, do they, Butchie?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
Oh, jump around gets played.
It gets played,
well,
but not.
It gets played, but
Yeah.
nobody does the tradition.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nobody does, just like Mr. Brightside for Michigan
Sure.
is
Yeah.
now their thing. Just like Virginia Tech and Enter Sandman, that's their
Yeah.
thing. What other college traditions are there that you have to say, okay, that's your deal. We're not going to steal your bit.
Florida
I think
State and
Oklahoma-
losing.
Florida State and losing. Oh,
I think
my.
Oklahoma started a Toby Keith thing on the third, in between the third quarter. I think they're trying to get that going this year because Toby
Yeah.
obviously passed away.
Alabama does Dixieland Delight, but
Yep.
they changed the words, the lyrics to it. That looks
Right.
fantastic next year in Tuscaloosa. Looking forward to that.
All right.
Yeah, I get to go to the Coliseum, the LA Coliseum. I assumed in your UCSB history that at some point you went to the Coliseum, Steve.
I have been. I went once. It is an absolute marvel and mammoth testament
Yeah.
of how they built stadiums 120 years ago. Has been reconfigured, sort of retrofit the best they can. Built for the Olympics, obviously,
Yep.
and it is massive. Terrible
Sold out.
sight lines
Yeah,
for those
that's what I
tickets that are not near the anywhere near the field. Like way in
Yeah,
the
I imagine
corners.
our broadcast sight lines are going to be fairly distant, but I don't know. Haven't been there. 75,000. It's sold out Saturday at USC. It's a 2:30 game because USC couldn't win a game in which they allowed almost no passing yards. Michigan won in true Michigan Harbaugh,
fashion.
even though it's not Harbaugh, kind of Iowa fashion. They didn't pass for any yards at all. And how USC gave up all those yards on the ground when that's all the other team could do. I know
What's
what
that?
Wisconsin's plan has to be.
I know. What's that word that starts with an I, Mike, that college programs like to have? Identity.
Identity.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't it be nice for the Badgers to get one of those again?
Yep.
An identity.
Yes.
What should that identity be?
Yeah, they should be able to run the football. And USC showed you can run the football on them. So run the damn ball, Chaz. Let's go, Cade Yakimelli.
That's right. Here is the epic scene from Happy Days when Fonzie had to admit he was wrong, and it was hard to get it out of his mouth, much like Mike Heller.
What?
I'm all packed. You told me it was the right thing to do. Look, I know what I told you to do, but when I told you to do that, I was Ralph, I was not exactly right. What do you mean not right? I mean not right. I don't get
it. All right. Mr. Heller, is always a pleasure, my friend. We'll see you.